What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome back to another episode of the Format Podcast. Another quick one here, but just want to take a step in today. And first of all, I hope everybody's having a great weekend, depending on when you're watching this. I'm recording on Sunday, but just wanted to take a quick step in because what is that I smell? What do I smell? I'm smelling football season. It's getting closer and closer. We're only really about less than 45 days out. We're really almost there. Training camp is getting ready to start in the NFL and in college. It's just about time. So, of course, when we talk about college football, got to talk about my favorite team, Notre Dame football, Fighting Irish. Go Irish. But when it comes to Notre Dame, if you're a Notre Dame fan, you know this. And if you're not, you know this too. Notre Dame faces a lot of backlash for a lot of reasons, mainly being all of the attention that they get in the college football media and the college football world while they haven't won a national championship since 1988. And that's legitimate. I mean, fact is, for the big brand name that they are and for the attention they get, they haven't been able to get the job done and get it over the hump. Now, they've been through a lot of things. They have some different type of challenges that maybe a lot of the other programs that you see on the top of college football don't have, but that's a story for another day. Really, what I wanted to touch on was a particular argument that I have to defend constantly as a Notre Dame fan and as a sports YouTuber and a podcaster. And that's the fact that it's always argued that Notre Dame doesn't play anybody. Notre Dame, because they're independent and have the ability to make their schedule, doesn't play anybody. Well, that's not exactly true. Matter of fact, it's a flat out lie. But I will let 24/7 Sports' own Josh Pate, host of the Late Kick with Josh Pate podcast, go ahead and tell you all about it. All right? Let's do it.
The other day, someone else came at me with an entirely different myth. And they came at me with the old standby, which is Notre Dame does not play a tough schedule. In fact, Notre Dame plays a soft schedule. So here's normally how this goes. You cannot have a sustainable data-based argument against Notre Dame's strength of schedule. It doesn't exist because any reputable data-based or analytical model out there tells you the same thing. Notre Dame plays a very strong schedule. In fact, most years it's top 15 in the country. To give you a data point of our own, our system, our model, preseason has Notre Dame's schedule ranked 12th in the country this year. It'll fluctuate. I'm just saying we think highly of their schedule this year. So since you can't base it on data and logic, it quickly devolves into just pure emotion. Some of the most mindless, flawed logic in all of college football is reserved for Notre Dame's strength of schedule arguments. And once you get them off the rocker a little bit, because they can't back it up with numbers, it'll sound something like this. Well, they need to join a conference. Irrelevant. Well, they don't play a conference championship game. Irrelevant to the 1 through 12 argument. If you want to argue with me that it's wrong that Notre Dame doesn't have to play a conference title game, I'll be happy to have the argument with you. I may even agree with you. It's going to be a separate argument. That doesn't impact how strong their 1 through 12 is. Their 1 through 12 is the only matter on the table right now. And so then they continue. I mean, our buddy Chris Marler came at me with his trash today. Said, you know what proves that Notre Dame plays a soft schedule? What's that, Christopher? They get blown out every time they go to the playoff. Well, so would everybody else. I didn't tell you that Notre Dame was the best program in the country. I didn't tell you that they were a top 4 program in the country. I told you they don't play a weak schedule. In fact, they can get beat by 150 every time they go to the playoffs. It says nothing about their strength of schedule. If you want to argue whether they should have had to play a conference title game, if you want to argue whether they're overrated or not, whatever, they play the schedule they play. But that leads into another argument that I always have, and that's the Notre Dame is overrated argument. To me, Notre Dame has been for quite a while the most easily rated team in America. It's so easy to see where they fit in. They're not Bama, they're not Clemson, they're not Ohio State, they're not 2 or 3 other maybe Oklahoma you could include in there over the past decade. And then Notre Dame is situated somewhere behind them, somewhere in that 4 to 8 range. That's where Notre Dame sits. That is so easy to see if you apply data and logic. Then people come at you and say, what about when they've gone to the playoff? Undress it. Keep going. Yeah, keep talking. You've got the losing argument here, so keep talking. Well, then they just go like this for a second. Then they say, yeah, well, they got blown out by Bama. I didn't say they were better than Bama. You said they were overrated. They weren't favored against Bama. They shouldn't have beaten Bama. Continue. Well, they got blown out by Clemson. They were a dog against Clemson. No one said they were better than Clemson. I'm saying they're rated 4 through 8, And every time they play a team rated higher than 4 through 8, they should lose to them. And then every time they play a team behind them, last 10 years says they're probably better than them. Like, Notre Dame's so easy to figure out. I've never gotten how people get so out of whack on this, but it's probably the same reason a lot of people are worked up about this whole conference realignment deal and whether they should or shouldn't join a conference.
All right, so all those were arguments that I consistently have to make in defense of Notre Dame football, and couldn't have said it better. Thanks, Josh, for setting the record straight, and I'm out. Peace.